You were alive for your first birthday. People sang to you. Someone held you. Your brain was learning faces, voices, rooms, and safety. But today, almost all of it is gone. Not blurry, not distant, gone. So why did the years that built you become the years you can't remember? This strange blank space has a name. Scientists call it infantile amnesia. But the name does not solve the mystery, because babies are not empty. They learn constantly. They recognize voices. They know familiar faces. They learn routines. They feel comfort, fear, hunger, warmth, and safety. So the first surprise is this. You did not forget because nothing was happening. You forgot while everything was happening. And that creates a bigger problem. If your baby brain was learning so much, why can't your adult brain find it? One clue is hidden deep inside the brain. To remember an event, your brain needs more than a picture. It needs a way back. It needs a bridge to a place, a time, and a version of yourself. A major part of that bridge is the hippocampus. The hippocampus helps turn experience into memories you can revisit. But in early life, that bridge is still under construction. The brain is not a finished building. It is a construction site. New pathways are being built. Old pathways are being reshaped. Rooms are being added. Walls are moving. And somewhere inside a changing building, your first experiences are being stored. Imagine placing a tiny yellow box inside a house, while the house is still being rebuilt. Years later, the box may still matter, but the hallway that led to it may be gone. That may be part of what happened to your earliest memories. They were formed inside the brain that later changed around them. But this explanation is incomplete, because the story gets stranger. Young brains do something powerful. They grow. In memory-related areas, new neurons are added at high rates during early life. This growth helps the brain adapt, learn, and build itself. But growth also changes the map. It is like renovating a library while people are still putting books on the shelves. The books are not useless, but the shelves keep moving. Some researchers think this rapid remodeling may make early memories harder to retrieve later. Not necessarily destroyed, not simply deleted, harder to reach. And that is where the mystery becomes emotional. Your earliest memories may be forgotten, but they may not be completely gone. They may be like locked rooms inside the brain. You cannot walk into them. You cannot describe the wallpaper. You cannot replay the birthday song. But something from those rooms may still echo through the house. A smell can feel safe. A voice can feel familiar. A room can feel warm or threatening before you know why. A pattern from early life can shape what comfort feels like. This is a strange possibility. You may not remember the memory, but the memory may still remember you. That does not mean every feeling has a hidden baby memory behind it. Science is more careful than that. But early experiences can influence the developing brain, even when they do not become stories you can tell. And that changes the question. Maybe your first years were not erased. Maybe they were absorbed. But there is another clue. Human memory is not just storage. It is storytelling. To remember your life, you need more than experience. You need words. You need ideas like yesterday, before, after, me, mine, and why. A baby lives inside sensation before living inside language. Light, sound, warmth, hunger, arms, faces. But those experiences arrive before the child can fully explain them. Later, when language appears, the old experiences do not always translate. It is like trying to describe a dream in a language you did not know when you had it. Something happened, something was felt, but the adult mind cannot easily turn it into a sentence. This is why language may be one of the gates to childhood memory, not because words create every memory, but because words help memories become stories, and stories are easier to carry across time. But this explanation is also incomplete, because children do not build their past alone. Other people help them. A parent says, "Do you remember when we went there?" A grandparent says, "You were so happy that day." Someone points to a photo. Someone tells the story again. Slowly, An event becomes part of the child's personal history. Some memories survive because someone else keeps handing them back. That is why family storytelling matters. A child learns not only what happened, a child learns how to remember. What came first? What came next? How it felt? Why it mattered? Over time, these conversations help build a personal past. They turn scattered moments into a path. But the story gets stranger again. Some of your earliest memories may not be pure memories. They may be partly yours, partly borrowed, partly rebuilt from photographs, family stories, and imagination. Maybe you remember the red bicycle. Or maybe you remember the photo of the red bicycle. Maybe you remember the birthday cake. Or maybe you remember hearing the cake story so many times that your brain painted a scene around it. This does not make the memory meaningless. It makes it human. Memory is not a camera. Memory is a reconstruction. Each time you remember, your brain rebuilds the past from fragments, faces, feelings, images, words, stories. And in the first years of life, many fragments are missing labels. There may be sensation without explanation, emotion without a timeline, familiarity without a scene, a feeling without a sentence. So when you ask, why can't I remember being a baby? The answer is not one thing. It is a chain of clues. Your brain was still building the bridge back to the past. Your memory system was being renovated while it was storing the world. Your language arrived after many experiences had already happened. Your sense of self was still forming, and many memories need a self to hold them. A baby is not thinking, this is happening to me, and I will remember it forever. A baby is becoming the me who might one day ask that question. That may be the deepest part of infantile amnesia. You did not just lose early memories. You were not yet the same kind of storyteller. The person who would later search for those memories was still being built. So your first years are not blank because they were unimportant. They are blank because they were foundational. You do not remember learning safety, but your body learned. You do not remember learning voices, but your brain listened. You do not remember learning comfort, but your nervous system was shaped by it. You do not remember becoming attached to the world, but some part of you began deciding what the world felt like. This is why the missing years feel so strange. They are absent from your memory, but present in your life. They are not chapters you can reread. They are the paper the later chapters were written on. Maybe your first years are not missing because they failed to matter. Maybe they are missing because they became something deeper than memory. They became you.